GM friends, how's everyone doing on this lovely Saturday?
Hey, sir, how you doing?
Hey,
Doing
good.
great. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Zombie Shepherd, what's up, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing good, doing good. Had a long night last night. I saw y'all had fun without me.
Yeah, we had a party. It was good. The music party lived on in your absence. But we also heard you went to a concert, correct?
Yeah, I went to see Zebra, which is like a local-ish. Well, they got pretty big for a while, but they're like a local Led Zeppelin cover band that then became an original band.
For a second there, I
Nice.
thought you said they were a local Yiddish band, but you're saying biggish band, right?
Yeah, they got like national or international or whatever. They were big in the 80s, and then, since then they play with like symphonies and other stuff. And, they're one of those bands that's like from New Orleans, but they got worldwide, but they like stay home pretty much.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was pretty good. They played some pretty good Zeppelin songs, and they played the radio hits of Zebra. Although I'm not sure like nationally how often they come on the radio, but they are like songs from like, that era of rock and roll.
Hey, it sounds like you had a good time at the concert last night.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I went with my mom, and that's like, she's that age, so that was her thing.
Into that style, into that
Yeah.
genre. Nice.
Yep.
Very cool. Yeah, GM everyone. I was gonna actually just kick off this morning with a little introduction. I've been talking to Jason from Climate DAO, and he's gonna come up here and talk a little bit on kind of what they're doing and maybe kind of what opportunities they see with Aavegotchi. And in the meantime, we also have the setup for our parade, so we'll start dropping some details in the chat there. As we're going through our hangout this morning, and yeah, should be fun. So I see Jason's put his hand up in the audience.
GM.
Good morning,
GM.
Hey,
GM.
Jason,
Hello.
Jason.
what's up?
Not much. I heard you talking about Led Zeppelin, Anthony. Do you know about there's a recent band that just came out, super young, sounds literally exactly the same as Led Zeppelin. It's called Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah.
You familiar with them?
I haven't really
Yeah.
listened to them, but I have heard them in that reference specifically that they sound exactly like Led Zeppelin.
It's
This
wild. It's really wild. And I think somebody was interviewing Jimmy Page or whoever from the band that's still alive. And the guy was saying, so what the fuck did he say? He was like, "Oh, I've heard this sound before." And he's laughing or whatever because in some ways they kind of rip off from them, but it's still incredible. It's still incredible to hear a young band be able to replicate such a noise as Led Zeppelin. I don't think they're as good as musicians though, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'll have to check them out.
I've
Zebra-
heard Greta Van Fleet, and it does sound exactly like Led Zeppelin. It's
Yeah,
like
I mean-
Harry Styles sounding like David Bowie now. It's annoying.
The amazing thing
Yeah.
about Zebra is that the singer guitar player does it all. So like he's Jimmy Page and Robert Plant at the same time.
Oh, jeez. It sounds intense. If I would, that's a lot. Okay, well, I'm a huge Led Zeppelin fan. I'm not as old as your mom, probably. My mom is probably that age, though. My mom's 67, so she was very much into the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, my mom's closer to 57, somewhere in there. Yeah, so
Okay.
but
Okay, as long as she had fun.
yeah,
That's
it was a great
yeah.
show. Good time.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for having me up here. I really appreciate giving me the stage here. I know that it can be tough when we go to governance forums because, Aavegotchi, there's a lot of other more important things going on, like various different things like the economics of the game or adjustments to DAOs and things like that. So I totally understand it, and I do appreciate giving me at least the space to kind of talk a little bit about what I'm thinking and what we're thinking in terms of a potential partnership opportunity between the two. For those that are not familiar with KlimaDAO, essentially we are one of the refi leaders. Refi, or regenerative finance, is essentially a small but growing sort of subsection of DeFi. And the general gist is that, we're using DeFi tools to essentially create one, liquid markets for assets that are climate related, and then two, allow for the use of blockchain technology for greater transparency and to hopefully create demand for these climate assets. And the idea is, okay, well, what is DeFi really good at? Okay, well, it's a permissionless open market, right? If you can bring things like the voluntary carbon market on chain, or you could bring funding for the World Foundation and things like that. If you can democratize that and make it more open and accessible to the everyday person, then you can create a much more meaningful impact. And that's kind of the gist of refi. Klima specifically as a protocol kind of serves as three things right now. At a base level, what we did was we utilized sort of Olympus mechanics to bring a bunch of liquidity on chain, which we did, right? We brought on 20 million tons of carbon, which is an insane, absolutely massive, massive amount of tonnage on chain. And we own that. It's all protocol and liquidity. So those markets will be there forever, indefinitely. The second thing that we did was we started saying, okay, well, now that we have this liquidity on chain, what can we do with it? So we started creating sort of tooling around it, which we'll go into in a little bit. And then the third part is to create data, right? So showcasing that on-chain carbon market, which I'll post here in a second, a link to that carbon dashboard. But the general idea is that, we are in the process of making all these various different puzzle pieces, if you will, I like to call them, that if they're pieced together the right way, can make a massive impact in everyday life, right? Everyone has the one friend that's super climate conscious, and they use reusable bags at the grocery store, or they're always recycling, or they're helping out with parks or whatever, whatever the case might be, right? Everyone has a friend of like that. But those people also don't necessarily know that they can make an impact by offsetting their emissions, right? Or they might not even know what carbon emissions are, or carbon credits or things like that. So there's a portion that is sort of educational that we need to kind of move through. There's a portion of it that's more regulatory based. So a lot of what Klima's been doing in the last year is working with governments and the registries, the incumbent bodies within the ecosystem, to bring these carbon credits and to allow for legitimacy and adoption. They see it like this is the most exciting thing since sliced bread for them in the last 20 years. They see that there's a demand and there's something interesting there. So they're much more open to it, but it's a long conversation, right? Because they really need to make sure that they maintain quality of their markets. So I'm going to go ahead and post 1 year on. So this is a general overview of the things that Klima has done in the past year. But the idea is that, we have bonded over 18 million tons of carbon. We've traded over 170 million in volume, which is absolutely insane. That's partially because of the hype originally. And then we've retired over 175,000 tons. And it's kind of bucketed into three things. Two really important things and kind of another that's more DeFi focused. One, collaborating with the broader ecosystem. So we've worked with Polygon and several other protocols like Alchemix, and we're in discussions with like Optimism and Arbitrum and Aave and MakerDAO and all these various different folks, as well as the Ethereum Foundation, to sort of tackle Ethereum's historical emissions, right? How can we change the narrative that Ethereum was bad for the environment, things like that? We think that we can facilitate that, and we're actually working with them directly. Advising US regulators on a DAO bill. So it's really, really important that, again, like not only for DeFi at large and stablecoins and things like that, but it's important that if we can prove that Web3 can actually make an impact off chain, then we need the regulatory clarity in order to do that, right? Because if you have regulatory clarity, your institutional capital and your regular companies will say, well, I know this is legitimate, right? Which is important for a number of things, right? One, our bags would go up in value, like Ethereum and BTC, et cetera, et cetera. But two, you open up the floodgates and the doors to allow for greater utility of on-chain technology for real-world application. So it's really important for us. And then, like I said, participating with registry working groups, so Vera and Gold Standard, you're going to see a lot of protocols like Nori and several others come on chain to refi. And the general idea about that is that they are trying to bring on new and innovative credits, and that's cool. We think that that's awesome. However, there's a problem with that. Is that if you think about it, if I go to a current company like I don't know, a Microsoft, for example, right? They're going to want to make sure it's a reputational risk, right? So they're going to buy the same credits that Delta buys, or they're going to buy the same credits that Lufthansa buys, or Google, or whatever. And those come from more the traditional entities. And I think eventually we can get to more native on-chain credits and some of these more unique credits. But we don't want to fragment liquidity too much too soon, and we also want to make sure that we have like the trust. It's a trust relationship, right? Like if we go to somebody, we're already talking to, like, for example, an airplane company to offset their flights every single time they take a flight, and it's a private jet company. And they literally, like, they're like, is this even legal, and how cheap it is? And it was like, yeah, this is very much legal. And their number one question is like, what type of credits are these, and what are the other companies using it? So that's really important.
That's really cool. One of the key points that I thought was interesting is what you mentioned with Ethereum and being able to, there's things like airlines where you say you can offset the emissions that are currently being produced, but you can also go back in time and offset like emissions that were, like, for example, from proof of work mining and stuff. Like that's really it's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a tough conversation, right? Because it's a very expensive, um, it's a very expensive endeavor, right? It's not an easy conversation, you know. It has to be value aligned and mission driven, and it also has to be um, sought as a value add to some degree, right? It's not a sexy purchase by any means. It's not like, oh, I'm going to purchase, $5 million of this thing and it's going to appreciate in value. It's more like we know that we have made an impact, and so therefore we're going to try to mitigate that or overcome that, right? And so some of the tooling, and we'll talk about the green fee, which is what we're kind of getting into in a bit. So the second bucket is building high integrity protocol and liquidity. So again, there was some shade earlier this year talking about like the quality of the carbon credits on chain. We've actually cleaned up the specific project. We fronted well over $100,000 to clean that up ourselves, and we actually ran an analysis by a third party. And it's again the same credits that Delta uses, or I forgot one of the other ones, but I can post I'll post on that. But it was a couple, like 10 pretty big companies. And then the third is relentlessly shipping products to market. If you actually look at the refi market, there's literally no one else in the entire space that's actually launching as much as we are. So that you have your love letter campaign, which is actually pretty cool. People can offset and leave like a love letter on the Polygon blockchain. So for example, like Hefe, if you're like, oh, I want to offset my emissions and say like, I love my mom, or Anthony says like, I love my mom and I love Led Zeppelin, he can leave that on the blockchain and it'll be there forever, right? Which is kind of cool.
Could you actually explain that message a little bit more? Like that sounds kind of interesting as like a, like a use case. Like, so you're writing a letter on, it's a message that lives on the blockchain, but it actually has carbon credits tied to it. Is that right?
Yeah. So
Oh.
the way it works right now, we have a retirement aggregator contract. And the idea is that you can purchase any carbon token. It doesn't have to be Klima. It could be any carbon token, that as long as there's liquidity. And essentially you go to the retirement aggregator and say, I want to offset X amount of tons. You choose which specific one that you want, whatever token it is. So each token represents a different group of projects, and you can kind of see that in the carbon dashboard. And then you can offset on behalf of somebody, like you can leave a wallet address or a name, and then it asks for a little message. And so what happens is when you actually leave a message, like, there can be only one or whatever you want to leave on there. What it does is it leaves a message in the transaction hash. And so, like, when you offset, let's say 100 tons, you could say like, I love nachos, and then I love nachos will be a part of that transaction forever. It'll never go away. It'll always be recorded somewhere. So we actually showcase a lot of the messages. If you click that link, you'll see like people saying I love my son, or some of them are funny. Mark Cuban left a message, to offset his emissions. Olympus Dow is offset. I think we've offset over 175,000 tons through that thing, and people do it all the time. You can leave whatever you want, which is cool. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's almost like the signing a brick or like putting your name in concrete type of thing, when you're...
Yeah. Well, because the whole idea is like what we're trying to show is like we're trying to show that it's never been easier to like make an impact on the carbon market. And one of the ways that we're doing that, like, so for example, and we recently just did this at a couple different conferences, but we preload a contract with carbon, and like the event will offset. Like they'll say we're going to purchase 1,000 tons to offset this event, and then what they'll do is they will, like, what we do is we create a QR code, and then people can scan the QR code and they can leave a letter, and that's it. Boom, done. You just press submit and that's it, and it's left on the blockchain. Or eventually the version 3 of it's going to be you scan a QR code and you can pick and choose which project you want to offset. So let's say you're given 3 projects. One is a wind farm in India, one is a reforestation project in Africa, and like the third is maybe removing or recycling methane emissions from like a process or something like that. And you can choose, right? And the idea is to give the power to the people, like have them feel like they're making a difference, right? It's like if you go to UPS right now, I live in the U.S., but if you go to UPS, the United Postal Service, or I'm sorry, not UPS, the brown one, so it's international. It'll ask you like, do you want to offset? Funny. They'll ask you if you want to offset your emissions for the package sent, right? So that's kind of cool. All right, so the last bit here, because it seems like some people are getting kind of anxious, is the green fee. So essentially, what we've put together here is like, essentially, it's a simple integration on the back end. It costs less than a cent, but the idea is that the user can toggle in and out or opt in and out, and every single transaction that they make will offset. So it automatically happens in the back end. The user experience is really quite simple. They just simply say yes or no, and that's it. And here's an article on it. What I really love about this technology in particular, and this is kind of the post that I put onto Aavegotchi, is essentially, very little to no resources are needed. There's no cost to the DAO at all. All we would need is collaboration between like the back-end devs to make sure that it integrates fine, which is really quite simple. And all it does is take like 0.02 matic off the top of a transaction. That matic then goes to a keeper, and the keeper then swaps it for carbon tokens, and then the carbon tokens are offset every 24 hours when we call the keeper. And then that's it. And it's super simple.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you got a few moving pieces here. I think the most interesting part for me with so far with what you've presented was the messaging on chain with carbon credits. I'm just trying to think of ways like, this is a conversation I've had with Mike Callum before, because I've mentioned he works for Nori, and it's interesting trying to come up with use cases of how these sorts of things could be integrated into metaverses, and specifically, of course, the Gotchiverse.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm kind of curious from your perspective, what kind of use cases do you potentially envision, something like what you're doing at KlimaDAO being implemented for example, one day in the Gotchiverse, if we were just talking about, implementations or, maybe partnerships.
Yeah, so specifically around like Web3 gaming, The way that I see it is like if you look at Polygon, we've already offset Polygon. Polygon has put up over $100,000 to offset the entire blockchain, so they're good, right? And then Polygon also hosts all of our liquidity, which means that there's millions of tons of carbon on here. They're basically housing from a protocol level refi, or at least like Polygon is refi. We are the home of refi. Um, from a Web3 gaming perspective, the way that I view it personally is that there's a high amount of user transactions. And the other thing is that Web3 gaming, like from a protocol perspective, they're not flush with like millions and millions of dollars, right? So the way I view it is like if we can make it super simple for people to opt in and say, yeah, like I'll pay less than a cent, per transaction to offset my emissions every time I make a transaction, while playing this game, then you can align the value of the player with the value of the protocol. So if the protocol DAO or whoever says, yeah, yes, we believe in climate change, yes, we would like to make an impact, great. And then the user just has to opt in. And so therefore what happens is a huge network effect. Imagine all the players sort of opt in, right? And now you have essentially Aavegotchi being climate positive inadvertently, and it's happening in the back end without people even realizing it. And then imagine that going to every single protocol or every single Web3 game. And then you have a massive network effect of people creating demand for the on-chain carbon market, proving utility and use case. And this is happening not just on Web3, it's happening even in Web2. There's people where they call it the climate click, or you offset transactions on a Web2 company. But the idea is that it costs less than a cent, and it happens on the back end. And once it's on, it's on. You don't even realize it.
Right on. That's awesome, man. Appreciate kind of you sharing something like this, because it's two completely different things, I guess, that we're doing here. We got GameFi on one end, with Aavegotchi, and something completely different with KlimaDAO. So it's kind of I get curious about intersections and use cases and stuff like that. So
Right.
really appreciate you kind of sharing that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, imagine you're basically playing a game and helping the planet at the same time. That's it. It's as simple as that. And
Yeah,
you're
that's
also
awesome.
you're helping the planet, you're playing the game, and at the same time you're proving a use case for Web3 and creating on-chain demand for carbon. That's it. There's no buzzword, it's as simple as that. All of it's completely transparent. Anybody can access it. All the data is completely transparent. I would hope anybody to actually look at it, honestly. So
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate you. Giving us an overview of KlimaDAO.
yeah, absolutely. If anyone has any questions,
Yeah. If someone does have questions, feel free to ask. Or if there are people watching the recording and they happen to have a question, do you have a contact that they can get at you, either Twitter or something like that?
yeah. So there is on Twitter. Somebody asked if Polygon has offset, then yes, they've paid for historical emissions, but not ones going forward. But we can assume that it's really quite small, right? Because when Ethereum when it merged or what have you, it's very much very, very small. Like each transaction is very, very, very small. So it's really more so. That's why it costs less than a cent, really. You're 0.0001 or 0.00004 or something like that, to actually pay for it. And so the idea is just, again, like you're proving Web3 utility, you're proving emissions, you're proving on-chain carbon market, and you're offsetting your emissions while playing the game, essentially. Go ahead and drop a Twitter link for KlimaDAO. Where does that Matic go? So the Matic goes to a keeper. and that keeper sort of aggregates all of the like volume. So like anything that happens on SushiSwap, for example. So if you go to SushiSwap, go to Polygon, go to settings, you can actually go to carbon offset and turn it on and try it. You can watch where it goes, but essentially it goes to a keeper. The keeper pools all of the funds in a 24-hour period, then swaps it and retires it. That's it. Al, it's really like I think that I agree with you. There's a lot of cool things going on with Aavegotchi. This does not take any yeah, it's under a cent. It's under a cent. It's less than a cent. Just gave you a 0.02 Matic. It skims Matic off the top. In terms of Al, like the resources required is actually quite small. Like Aavegotchi, the DAO or the team would spend less than 10 minutes actually implementing this because it's already set up. They don't really need to do anything. No, I don't plant any trees or something, Wrangler. This is about on-chain carbon market. I guess if you wanted to buy the LP token, Tommy. No, we don't make any money. Klima actually doesn't make any money at all. We pay bills. Well, we have different funding mechanics. You know, we had bonding for quite a while. We have protocol and liquidity. There's no real protocol revenue, to be honest with you. Like the retirement aggregator, we take like 1% off of it. So, and it's in carbon tokens. So, for example, if you offset $1,000, like $100, we get $1 of carbon. It's really not that much. So we don't take any USDC or ETH or Matic or anything like that. Do I need to eat bugs? No, you don't need to eat bugs.
Yeah, right on. So if people do want to read more about KlimaDAO, maybe just post those links a couple more times for people who might want to catch up. And anybody who does want to dive in there, feel free to have a look at those resources and check out their on-chain carbon markets.
Yep, for sure. Thanks, guys. I'll stay in the chat just to answer any more questions if they want. And then,
of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Shall we give people a parade update for those who might want to catch up?
I think we're just in District 4. Slaps is popping. Z-Fi and I just popped some parcels. I think it's just kind of everywhere in District 4 right now.
Yeah, I've been kind of wandering around District 4. I might, you know what, my parcels, if you're going to hang around in District 4 for, I don't know, a couple minutes, I'll run over to mine and I'll get that popping too.
Cool.
So if anybody's in District 4 right now, you can go ahead and pop your parcels. And for anybody who doesn't know what the heck we're talking about, we're currently coordinating the Aavegotchi parade. So maybe either OXZFi or someone wants to drop that link. Actually, I'll drop that link. This is the map. If you guys want to make your way around and hit these up. Oh man, I was having trouble setting up my my bounce gate this morning. Was anybody else having trouble with their bounce gate? I guess every time I would try and submit it, like for some reason on the UI, like the button didn't work. Like I just pressed the button, it wouldn't do anything.
You might not have enough glitter in that case, but you should do it like I did. I think my bounce gate's open for like 110 days still remaining or something like that. So it's like I don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
And I'm saying, if you guys want to move up on the priority list, I paid, I think, $30-something of KEK last week, and I'm still number one. So there's definitely room to move, and it's not super expensive right now.
Okay. That's
Also,
not too
shout out to
bad.
you, Coder Dan. Good morning. You guys shipped some big stuff yesterday.
Hey, good morning.
The Governor DAO stuff seems very interesting. Would you care to like talk about that at all?
Yeah, so there's this a service called Jigger, which is an anti-bot. It's basically an anti-bot service for Web3 gaming. And what it does is they have an API call similar to like a Google reCAPTCHA that it's the wallet address is shared between all of the different Web3 games that integrate this service. And so when someone logs in, it essentially is using AI, using machine learning or whatever to detect if it believes that they are a bot, and it will then flag them. And the first, some protocols can just keep that information and not do anything with it. But in this week, we decided we've been actually running it for about a month now. And the positive bot rate is about 2-3%. So it's not really high, which is kind of to be expected since there's most of the time there's not any spillover for people to collect. And so yesterday, we actually turned on the challenge of the bot. So if someone gets flagged as a bot, they get this challenge where they can then go and basically upload their proof of humanity, very similar to Governor DAO, how they're doing it. But instead of everyone having to do it, or not only non-Gotchi owners, in this case, you only have to do it if you get flagged. So the percentage of the community that's going to have to do the challenge is probably pretty low compared to how we were originally thinking of it with the Governor DAO solution. I think the underlying tech for the verification is probably very similar, but the nice thing that they offer is this API for helping us flag people, because that's what was kind of missing before. We were having to do a lot of that manually, or try and keep up with the botters as they evolve their tactics.
That's awesome.
It's going to be interesting to see what the positive rate is for this week. There's 400 players right now. We'll probably know in an hour or two what the positive rate was. But you should know that right now, if you have a Gotchi in your wallet, even if you're renting a Gotchi, so this is like for No Future, you have a wallet where you have a lot of borrowed Gotchis coming in, and actually your address was flagged because you're doing a lot of like switching accounts quickly and things like that. But because you also have a Gotchi, then you're not going to get that challenge.
That's awesome, because I did just recently buy a Gotchi off the market, like a 700 kinship that was at the floor, but I didn't transfer it from my main wallet yet, so maybe that helped.
Yeah. So if you transfer it away, it might flag you and say, hey, you need to do proof of humanity. But like you said, you were planning to do it anyway with Governor DAO. So I think we don't want to impose it on community members too hard. At the same time, we need to start taking the botting more seriously and putting in measures that are going to try and curb it. So this is like the first step to see how this service performs.
That's awesome. I think it's a step in the right direction, and I have no issue doing that. I know other people don't like it, but I'm cool with it.
Yeah, so it typically takes about 15 minutes to an hour. So if you do get flagged and you do the verification, it'll take you 15 minutes to an hour. And the Jigger team does have people on call, 24 hours a day if any of the verification challenges come in. So it should be a pretty smooth process. Just make sure that when you upload your information, that it's clear. Otherwise, there was a friend who got rejected, I think, just now. But I think his picture was blurry or something. So just make sure that you upload like a clear picture.
What parcel are we on now? Are we still in District 4, friends?
Just trying to do a sync up.
I believe so. Where are you at, Hefe? Didn't you say you were coming to D4? Did you already do that?
Yeah, I had to refresh my thing. I'll be back. I'll be back at D4. I'll just hop back. I skipped ahead, I guess. I'm just gonna go right to my parcel in D4. I'll pop it, and then I'll, I guess, just head over.
I'm on my way there. Hefe, could you? You shared this on District 420 yesterday. That Gotchi. What was the name of it? I have it here on my screen.
Gotchi board?
Yeah, is that open? Like, can we share that with everybody?
Sure. I mean, it's not finished. Like it's so Mark's been working on this leaderboard for spending. I'll drop it. I'll drop the link. Check it out. It's not finished though. He's still working on the UI for it, but it does populate with the stats, and I don't even know if those are accurate. So I don't even know. You can go check it out, but I wouldn't say try and use it at this point. It's not done yet.
I was kind of hyped by it because for the
know
month,
you're
I think
hyped.
number 23 Alchemica spender for the month. So I was like, yeah, but it's like, oh yeah, it might not be
I
accurate.
think it was for the week. That was for
Well,
the
for the
week.
week, I was
wasn't it?
29. For the month, I was 23.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll check it again.
But yeah, once the UI is done, he showed me pictures of the UI, like the frames, and it looks pretty sick. But that's going to be interesting. That spending leaderboard, we can do really interesting stuff with that. Gamify it a bit.
Yeah, so since yesterday, for the week, I'm number 33. For the month, I'm number 30 in terms of FUD spent on installations and I guess installations and tiles minted.
Yeah, I like how it gives you the FUD amount.
Yeah, we that's how we like to calculate things internally too. We just calculate it how it comes out to in FUD. Everything is FUD.
It's almost like when looking at glitter, amounts, it just feels good. It's like, oh, I spent like 170,000 FUD. That's just a nice big number.
That's actually true. He's not counting glitter yet in this leaderboard, is he? FUD from for Keck. No glitter
Yeah.
yet.
I don't think well, yeah, it's not done, but I think that's the intention, is to have that as well.
Yeah, I'm impatient, so I spend that glitter.
You could like base a point, like have a points-based system on a leaderboard like this. Like let's say, every 1,000 FUD worth of Alchemica spent is like 1 point, and then you just tally up the points at the end of the week. Have some sort of a, could be a POAP, could be a NFT or something. Oh yes, Jesse. Fake cards raffle date has officially been announced. This one's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
I actually don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen this time around. I think some big things are going to happen.
Sam, I feel like I have a big drop ticket bag, but so does everyone else. So it's going to be interesting. I want to see some tickets destroyed.
Yeah, so the raffle is going to begin Wednesday, coming up, November 9th, 2 p.m. UTC, and you'll have until Saturday, November 12th to get your tickets in. And do note that daylight savings time is upon us, so don't get wrecked by that. Make sure you schedule in an extra hour.
So that's a good segue right there to ask. For daylight saving, officially channeling now will be at 7 p.m. Eastern, right? It's no you don't observe daylight savings, correct?
think so because we're using the UTC time.
So would it stay? Does UTC observe daylight savings time?
No.
Oh, okay,
UTC
yeah, right.
stays
Okay.
the same. We change.
All right, so then the hangouts are now at 9 a.m. Eastern, and the DAO meeting as well. And then channeling reset is 7 p.m. Eastern. Just want to get this straight. I feel somebody should put a proposal through just to change. Like, we're gonna go to once a week channeling during the daylight saving period, where we have to be, channeling at 7 p.m. or I guess 7 a.m. for people on the other side of the world.
I've been like way off on my channeling lately because some days I didn't channel because the gas was so high. It was like I'm not spending 5 matic to do my channeling today, so not
I've gone
happening.
the opposite way. I've been I'll try to wait, but I'll pay because I'm doing it for other people, one. And two, it's like I'm still in this mode of Alchemica accumulation. Like, it's not that bad yet. Like, we haven't gotten to the point where it's like, I should just trade Matic for Alchemica. But I definitely have not been renting I don't have a lot of level 1s and level 2s, but those basically are not being used at all anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it. And it's like, months and months of channeling a few hundred gotchis a day. It's like, all right, I'm kind of tired. Like, I like doing it, but there, once we got to play around with those pumpkins last week, I see the future, and it's like, I want to be there now. Like, forget channeling, let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, Coder Dan mentioned it a while ago. Like, the channeling is supposed to be like this little thing you do on the side, right? Like, eventually you'll have so many other things to do.
Yeah, it's like we do have a large supply, percentage of the supply allocated, but it is over 30 years, so we don't necessarily have to keep it on, forever all the time. It can be something that when we as a community feel like it's a good time to have it, or if there's not enough Alchemica in the system, you could introduce some UBI, but it's definitely a lever that we can play with as a community. Shouldn't be something that we take for granted forever and assume that it's always going to be there exactly as it was the first day that it came out.
It's a good point. And there's been some talk about gamifying it. I've heard some people talking about different ways to introduce new mechanics around channeling to make it either more competitive or more interesting. Maybe it's not a level playing field. Maybe there's things you have to do. I don't know.
Yeah, right now you don't have to jump through any hoops to get it. You have your altar, you walk up to it, you get it. It's pretty straightforward. There definitely could be a day where there is more to do, but exactly what that is would need to be developed. And honestly, I don't think it's exciting as getting to combat. So that's our main priority, just to get combat out before we even really focus on any of that kind of tweaking.
I will say Monday, I don't know how many people, we have 110 people here right now. I don't know how many people were part of. I know there were like roughly 20 of us in the Discord chat when we were pumpkin hunting for a good 6-7 hours on Monday. That was so much fun. And if you didn't have a chance to some people live stream, I know ZombieShepherd and myself live stream it, but definitely check it out because we basically did what we did on Saturday, but for hours, like hunting pumpkin after pumpkin with Niankong on the call kind of leading us. And that was so much fun. Like I between us hunting the pumpkins, I tried to do my channeling, but like the channeling became an afterthought at that point because it was just so much fun.
How many pumpkins did you take out, or did you? Were you? How many? I was sleeping for a lot of that. So how many pumpkins were there total?
So I think there were 7. I noticed the first pumpkin talk, like the clamor of pumpkin in the Discord, say around 4 p.m. My time, so about 5 p.m. Eastern. And then I signed off. I started streaming. I participated in the first hunt. Then I went live for the next 3. And that took me until about 11 p.m. Eastern. So I was there for a good 7 hours on the pumpkin hunt with the crew. And then they continued on until I think 3 a.m. So there was another, if I'm not mistaken, another 3 pumpkins or 2 pumpkins after that. So I know the thing that got me most excited was they were dropping the leaderboards for the little hits and kills, and everybody was just really hyped to be able to. It was just a little text file, but still being able to see, oh yeah, I hit like top 5, number 5 shooter for the Gotchi gang, taking out these pumpkins. That was like thrilling.
Those leaderboards, we were talking about the animal spirits last night coming out when those leaderboards get implemented, and there's that sort of like competition going on in the battle arena or something like that. It's gonna be, people are gonna be willing to spend large amounts of whatever to get that little edge, you know, if they can. Like, you know, that's what I've seen in gaming when it comes to like PvP and competition against other players. Like, people throw down, man. They're willing to put a whole bunch of money down just to get a slight edge on people, you know.
Yeah, I'm saying if you don't have a game controller, you're missing out, because I was able to like spam shoot very easily because I have a button that I can just jam to shoot.
Yeah.
And moving around in the Gotchiverse is a lot easier because although we can't move diagonally, I have a joypad, like a Joy-Con, so it kind of allows like kind of that fake diagonal move.
Oh, you just move in that, and it just kind of goes in that direction.
Yeah, it'll
with
like
the
it'll
kind
move.
of step.
Yeah, it's just it's not perfect, but it'll move like, especially if I'm using both of them because I have them both kind of set up. Where like if I'm chasing, like for me, my tactic was I would stand like on top of the pumpkin, or the pumpkin was on top of me, and just keep shooting so that no matter where it moved, because it would always move to the left, to up, right, like just kind of try to force myself to move with it and pop it at the same time. I don't think you would be able to really do that on the keyboard while also hitting shift.
You could almost form a partnership with that company. You should reach out to them and like make like an Aavegotchi themed, like with the same color palette controller, and we could all buy it. Could do like a, what is it called? 8-bit dough? 8-bit
Yeah.
dough
I'll
controller?
reach out and then put them in contact with Jesse so that he can do his, like, you know, the partnership licensing deal, because that would be kind of cool.
That would be cool. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, the leaderboards, man, like, because Dr. Wagner has said it multiple times, and I'm a fool. Sometimes I have to see things before I can learn them or understand them. And like playing with that little leaderboard, just that text file, like I've understood why like people would spend money to like move up and want to be better in the game. Because once it's gamified on that level, and we can all like, you know, once there's bragging rights, essentially, it really does step things up a notch.
Yeah, one thing I'm excited for about is the arena. Is that's kind of the next big thing that we're focusing on, and it's I'm curious to see how people like we can't obviously make the combat too pay to play in an exorbitant way, but there is this kind of cool aspect to it that we'll be outlining in one of our next upcoming blog posts, which is as an observer you can actually watch the battle and you can tip Alchemica into it. And there'll be a leaderboard for who's tipped the most Alchemica into the battle. And then the gladiators, the players, can actually pick that up and they can spend it in the game on stuff. But you can't tip it to one person. You can't be like, you know, Hefe, I'm gonna give you a bunch of Alchemica. It'll be scattered randomly throughout the arena. But I think that'll be just having those leaderboards of like who's tipped the most. It's going to make it feel like, you know, watching a live stream or like watching Twitch, where people can like have their name in the combat and like actually kind of change the direction of the battle in a way.
So you said you observer mode, which is awesome. Will we as Gotchis also be able to observe?
If you're a Gotchi, you would need to be in the battle, I think. Like if you join as a Gotchi, you're going to be in the battle.
Okay, cool. Because I'm just thinking for my streaming logistics, I would need to be an observer and then load up. Well, it would be the same wallet. I would just be entering the Gotchiverse as an observer.
Yeah. So we're one of the features that we're going to be putting out hopefully sometime this month is the ability to actually deposit Alchemica into the game and get it credited to your wallet. So it's going to be a little bit complex because we have all these wallets and like pockets and stuff. But the idea is that you could deposit Alchemica and Glitter and Ghost or whatever into the game as you would kind of into like an exchange, and then once it's credited, you can then freely do whatever you want with it in the game. So you could drop it, you could spend it on stuff like potions, whatever. So the cool part of that is that you could deposit all your Alchemica that you want, and then while you're watching the battle, you could just make it rain in the battle arena without having to do any gas.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't even think about that part of it. As I keep thinking about the play drops, the personal play drops that we'll be able to do. But theoretically, you could turn the arena battle for the people battling into like almost like a little play drop if you had like the bags, like to just be like, let's make it rain,
Yeah. Hey, as long as you can make it out of the arena with that Alchemica, then that's your daily bread.
Oh, that's right though, because if you just walk around picking everything off and the guy just murders you at the end, he's getting all your stuff.
Can I ask? I think this might be a good point to ask if you've thought about this. Will the arena be revenue generating for the DAO or Pixelcraft? Like, will there be any fees upon exit or anything like that? If not, maybe we should consider that because that could be a good little revenue source.
Yeah. There's definitely the DAO or Pixelcraft could maybe take a cut of when you drop, like when you tip Alchemica, maybe it 2% goes to somewhere. It could be interesting. That's definitely something we could add in later. I don't know if it wouldn't really move the needle. I don't think that much, unless it's a large cut. But we just want the game to be fun. We want people to have fun playing it and have fun like tipping. So we're probably not going to mess with that too much at the beginning. But that there could definitely be a revenue source in there.
Also, where are we in the parade? I'm like somewhere in District 4, just kind of wandering.
Okay, so we're
D28. Yeah, we're at
Oh, wait, no, I
D28.
went to D28. We're talking about Zonzies, right?
No, that was 43. We're at Goobs now. We're doing the Gotcha Mafia gamut.
Okay, time to run.
We got a bounce gate set up. Just look for the D28 Gachi Mafia checkpoint. And we're going to hit up some of their parcels. I think they just popped the first one. But I think, Goobs, you got a couple in this area, right? Yep, Zonzi's all good. So we're running around. You know what gets me excited is this, Jesse, you'd mentioned at some point being able to like stuff these like pumpkin like smashable things and putting them on your parcel. That like making a party or an event like that, and maybe even having like a mini leaderboard, even if it's a TXT file or something that gets produced, is going to be, that would be really, it would be fun. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, basically it's like the bounce gate, except for instead of creating the event, it would like generate a monster that you guys could kill. Basically, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, you can like put some alchemica in it, so when you kill it, it it creates like a little mini spillover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be super fun and actually not that difficult. Now that we've gotten the pumpkins, they wouldn't. I mean, right now the pumpkins can't attack you back, but that'll definitely be part of a future iteration.
Yeah, I would love that because I'm trying to organize with user OX default more stuff for the Orium Guild scholars. Question: how hard is it to produce that text file? I'm assuming it's something off the subgraph, right? Like the leaderboard that you create for that kind of gameplay stuff.
No, that's all on our server side. None of it's not on chain. So really, it would need to be like event based. Like every time you spawn a new creature, that would be like its own event, and then we would cache that data, and then you could download it basically.
Okay, yeah, because I'm trying to figure out a way to like make a leaderboard, but without asking for dev resources from Pixelcraft for Orium. Like if there's I figured maybe like thinking it was on chain, we would just have to create a script or something to look at the subgraph, or just look at the subgraph for the information. but it's not on chain. It's on your servers.
Yeah. Yeah, there's doing stuff on chain is awesome. It's just it requires gas, and until we are on our own Gotchi chain powered by Ghost, maybe we have to be careful about not putting too much stuff on chain. Obviously, we can't put movement and combat like on chain because it's happening in real time. But the monster that would be an on-chain transaction where you could potentially spend Alchemica on chain, or it could be like what I mentioned, where you could deposit the Alchemica and then spend it in the game on that kind of in-game transaction, and it wouldn't actually need to hit the blockchain.
Probably take a little bit of a load off of the game too, right? To do it that way.
Yeah, it's more of our back end, less of the blockchain.
Okay.
It's they both have trade-offs.
Yeah.
But you guys were talking a little bit about the SuperNet, and we did have a pretty good conversation with some of the Polygon team last week, and they're not totally ready for major use of the SuperNets. They are getting close, and we're definitely going to try and be on that list. And there's a lot to figure out that goes with the SuperNet, especially because we have a lot of assets already that are on the public chain. So if you guys were here for the first migration, we might have to do another migration from Polygon to Gotchi chain in the future.
So
But
we
the
know
good
there's
news
a
is
great
that-
migration.
Yeah, the good news is we wouldn't have gas would be probably it wouldn't be a major issue anymore because we would be the only ones on the chain probably doing what anything you want to do with like DeFi would be on the public chain, and then come over to the Gotchi chain. It's all Gotchi all day.
Gotchi's all the way down. So do the SuperNets use Polygon's validators, or will we need to would our SuperNet need to have its own validators?
They actually, the cool thing about SuperNets is they do use the Polygon validators, so you don't have to. They have kind of two solutions. One is a SuperNet, and one is basically rolling your own blockchain, kind of powered with assistance from Polygon. But we're going to go the SuperNet option most likely. And then, so you do have to. You can either use Matic for your gas token, or you can use you can use Matic for your gas, or you can use like an ERC20. So potentially could be an interesting use case for Ghost or one of the Alchemica, or maybe Glitter, maybe all of them, maybe none of them. But there's definitely some tokenomics interest that could be happening with that.
Sorry, I missed just that last bit. Did you actually say you could choose what you use as a gas token, so you can use like Ghost?
Well, whoever, when you set up the SuperNet, you basically choose what token would be used as the gas token.
Oh man, that sounds pretty amazing, actually. I mean, imagine you had to use Glitter as the gas token, so you had to have something being produced, or you can't actually do. Well, that would kind of be probably not best for user experience, but it'd be interesting though. Gas token burning. That's exciting, and I mean, it's kind of in line with Aavegotchi. You guys have always kind of been exploring the cutting edge use cases for like implementing, on the protocol.
Yeah, like we saw what happened to Axie after they went onto their own chain. Obviously, before Ronin got hacked, it was very bullish. It was a great move for them. I don't know if the Ron token, that's like they made a new token just for that chain. I don't know how well that worked out for them, but having their own chain definitely was a great move.
you would pay for, like you said, the gas fees that you'd pay on the Ronin chain, where it paid in AXS, like their native kind of token. So they
They're
were
paid in Ron token, I think.
Yeah,
oh,
the
Ron, sorry, yeah, that was the Dex.
Like a,
No, actually, you're right though. So I was joking about glitter, but what you actually had to do is you had to stake Ron, like you had to stake for Ron. That's what you would get as the liquidity provider token, and that was also the gas token, I think, for the network. So I did joke about glitter being the gas token, but I think that's exactly what Axie Infinity did.
I haven't really heard anything about Ron in a while, or Ronin.
Yeah, I mean, the last I heard was that huge hack that they had,
Yeah.
which like nobody's really talking about anymore, including the devs.
My
Like they just want to
computer
forget
prompts me-
that dark thing that happened, you know? Like, no, like that was a while ago. Yeah, but bro, it was like $640 million. That's
Yeah.
pretty hard to forget.
Yeah, my computer constantly prompts me to get rid of the wallet, the Ronin wallet. They're like, "Do you want to like remove this? It's like compromised." And I'm like, "Oh fuck." I'm just ignoring it at this point.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting to see the response from just the pumpkins that were posted on Twitter last week. There was quite a few people, including Kagi Jan. He runs a huge kind of gamer channel, and I know No Future you did an interview with him. He went to catch up on Aavegotchi, and so
Yeah,
I
it
think-
was super cool.
Yeah.
Like the moment we had a little bit of gameplay, KG was in. I think just having some gameplay is going to be so big. I was Golden Cross and I were talking about it, and I said like my feeling on it is that the bar for Web3 gameplay is so low, but the barrier to entry is so high. So it's like you got this super low bar about people just want a basic form of gameplay, and yet to actually do it, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to actually to do it right, and to do it like on the technical side. It's pretty challenging. So the bar for gameplay is very low, but the actual barrier to entry is quite high, and that's why we don't see any breakout games yet.
Yeah, he seemed very bullish on everything. Like he was excited by the gameplay aspects, but he was just like, the team he kept saying it. The team keeps shipping. It's been like over 2 years they keep shipping, and like he didn't have any idea about a lot of the mechanics in the game. So I was explaining like just basically the observer mode, and he got excited about that. But like pushing like just reminding people like with the observer mode, like at this point the real true value is within the fake gotchis with the observer mode, because you can have a party on your parcel with eventual play drop, and then invite a whole bunch of people who aren't gotchi gang necessarily, and maybe they see that piece of art that they like in one of those NFT displays and want to buy it. It opens the gotchiverse up to being more than just a game, and really more into the metaverse, and that's what we're trying to like kind of aim for here. And we're in the very early days, and I think he's finally appreciating that. So it made me feel good because he seemed very bullish from the conversation.
Yeah, speaking of fake gotchis, we did just put out this video is a little bit overdue, I think. But if you guys have any friends that you want to give like a quick intro about the Gotchiverse art release to, this is a great video for that. It's about 2 minutes, and it goes through all the different features and observers, NFT displays, and bounce gates. So very nice introductory video.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's going to be really helpful because with all these art pieces coming out, I know 8-Bit Gamers Guild has a whole bunch of art pieces now that they're releasing, and in the future they'll be releasing. And I think the plan is to hold back some of these and do in Gotchiverse sales with them, and having observers come onto the parcel. They can come look at all the pieces. They can come hang out, maybe collect some sort of a spillover. And then, once they see pieces they're interested in, I'm going to be handling some of the sales that happen through that. But the idea is to get observers in that might be interested in collecting the artwork and say, this art's available to purchase, but you have to come into you have to come to this event to come look at it, kind of like a showcase for a gallery.
Is anyone planning to do that? Right? Anyone got plans like once the buying and selling is live in the Gotchiverse, which I think it should be by next week if it's not already.
Oh yeah, we're waiting for that feature because once that goes live, I'm gonna start actually trying to reach out to other communities, fake rares and other art communities, other well-known art collectors, and being like, "Yo, check out this art made by
Awesome.
famous artist. Come check it out. It has to be part of your collection." And these guys will jump through hoops to get the art because they collect every piece of artwork, and they're not going to let one go just because it's on a different chain or in a different metaverse. They're going to go get it. So it's just a matter of kind of showing them how to get there, and then once they're there, they can buy the piece through the Gotchiverse and get this totally new experience, that they've never had before with buying art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see once we can do little personal play drops. I think what I'm gonna do is like put a whole bunch of I'm kind of doing this today for Orium. Like I've set up a whitelist for their scholars, so I'm gonna do something similar for like just my friends, normie people who never have tried crypto anything, and I'm gonna be like, there's a thing. I'm gonna set them up with a wallet and just have them rent some gotchis and throw some parties, and they get a feel of the play drop stuff. But then they'll also be able to see the art. Because I do have friends here, I have a friend who's a studio musician, and I told him about the fake Gotchi stuff, and he keeps asking me now. He's like, all right, when are we going to work on some music? I want to make some music for this. Because he's excited, especially about the dual streaming royalties. And, the idea of a small community where you can make art and it's appreciated. And as long as we're, aiming it at the Gotchi target and put some good effort in, there's a good chance that we can get through with something. So, people are, as I tell them about it, they do get excited about it. So once we can do that little personal play drop, it'll be easy to give them the full visualization of kind of what's happening. They can see the art, the displays. Do you have any idea, in terms of your, I guess, for the fake Gotchi's roadmap, when musical cards will be able to be displayed in the Gotchiverse with sound?
So I would say if you want to do a music piece, right now, the best way would be to make a video, an MP4, because we are going to be getting those displayed pretty soon. So why not just make a track that's an MP4?
So if you make it now with sound, you'll be able to hear it later when that feature is live.
Yeah. I think that's the idea. It's not going to play right now. We're not playing the video when you until you've actually walked on it. So once you walk on it, at that point you should be able to. I think eventually it'll play the music.
Cool.
Well.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured because if you just make it as an NFT, the sound will work on OpenSea, but we just need to make it live in the Gotchiverse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not. We don't have plans right at the moment to add audio NFTs yet. We can't focus too much on the fake Gotchis part. We want to just kind of get it out there and then let you guys run with it. So that'll probably be something that would be coming next year. But for now, the MP4 will be the best option for that. And it's you can upload up to 100 megabytes for that, so should be enough for for a song, I think, right? A pretty short song.
Yeah, even if you did a 5-minute song with the MP4, as long as you're not, it's a 8K video, you should be fine.
Yeah.
I think the
one something gotchified, like a gotchi animation of some sort.
I think the one we did for the D420 one that No Future did, I think that one was about 40 megabytes, and that was still I think it was a minute to 2 minutes. So.
Yeah, it's more on how complicated you make the video because with One Hit Wonder, it was probably 16 to 20 frames. So yeah. Whereas if you make a full-on music video, that's gonna be gigs.
That's a good point. That's right. Yes, No Future been lagging. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to more of the art. I've been making a bunch of stuff. I just haven't. I don't know. I think I should start sharing it, but I was kind of holding back because I have a couple that are They'd be pretty good fake Gotchi cards, actually. They're very memeable, but it's kind of holding back right now. But I definitely want to make some fake Gotchi cards. This raffle is going to be real interesting. Once again, like I have no idea. Usually I have a good idea of like what the raffle is going to look like, but I think for the first time the raffle is actually going to dictate the price of the fake Gotchi cards, because people are going to look back and say, "Wow, I just spent the X amount of dollars on raffle tickets and I got one card, or I got two cards, or maybe I got five cards," and that's going to kind of dictate what the price of the cards are, I think.
Yeah, this will be important for me because I thought in the future, I've been thinking about pricing a lot for the fake gotchis and for music. And the way I lean towards it is I'd rather get several cards and put out like a whole album, but make each individual card like cheap, like 10 ghosts, something like that. So it's accessible, like even cheaper if I could. I know we only get 100 in the collection, but if I accumulate, 30, 40 cards, I can put out all the music I want. But I guess it really depends on where that starting point for the price of the card is, depending on this raffle and then the secondary market that evolves in the coming weeks and months. So, like my plan, hopefully, will be to keep it very like low cost, like something that can be actually traded, because I think that's one of the most powerful parts of the fake gotchis is the dual streaming royalties. So if you have a fake piece and it moves around a lot, you'll probably benefit from that, to a great degree versus just having a piece that's pretty expensive that only trades hands a few times. So.
Yeah.
So thinking about volume and all those things. So this raffle will be very interesting because there's going to be a lot of data given to us, like Hefe said, for the first time, like really like in a raffle where we just don't know what the value is at all.
Yeah, I think one of the points that Jesse likes to mention is that fake rares started out basically as like just meme art, and there was no real value given to it by anyone. Where with over time, that value was given by the trading. So with fake gotchis, they started out a little bit of a higher price point, but the ethos is actually quite the same as the fake rares. It's like they're kind of this experiment. So people are going to experiment with all different price points. I think right now probably the sentiment will be, the cheaper the better, because we are in a bear market, a generational bear market. But over time, it's all about betting on the artist that created it. It's like it's an investment in that artist and their career, and the art itself, of course.
Yeah, well said. I mean, that's the grassroots community here. It's always been here with Aavegotchi. I think fake gotchis is just kind of a way of enabling people to express that in a kind of more organized way. I know a lot of cards I'm going to be making are going to be traded with other artists because I want to collect their work and share art as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of the early fakes were given away for free, like the rare Pepe card, like the card number 1 rare Pepe. I think it was given away in like a Telegram chat to people that like wanted one, and like they kind of just like sat around for like a long time. Nobody really wanted them, or they would trade around here and there, but like it was like maybe $20 for the card, or $50 for the card. It wasn't anything crazy. But now you look at the Nakamoto card, the Rare Pepe, it's like the OG shelling point for the whole collection, and I think it's like 9 Bitcoin or something right now is the floor price. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
Are we still in D14? I've been cleaning up like a Roomba over here, but it seems like we're done.
What? Yeah, I think we've ran through the gamut as far as the parade goes. We're
Yeah,
trying to
I think
be a
we're
little
headed to 12.
experiment. 12?
Which is GMI, I guess. Maybe Z-Fi can tell us. I think that's the end of it once we hit GMI.
Oh yeah, GMI is the endpoint. So, parade update. Once the forest has been cleared, move south on the main road toward D12. There's loot along the way, and we're headed to GMI State as the final stop. So, I'll head out to D12 then.
Cool. I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee. I'll throw the map up on my stream, and I'll be right back to Big Pop.
Yes.
G.
Yeah, I still haven't popped the top on the Music City Gotcha Gang Gallery, so that's available also after this.
We're dropping this little video here on Twitter, just a counterpart to the YouTube that was just dropped. So once that's uploaded, drop it here. Always good content. If you guys, again, have any friends that are not in Gotcha Gang as hardcore and they might be curious about the art release, that's a good intro video for them.
Dr. Wagme's
Just got-
asking, close to having a GBM.
Yeah, I mean it's part of the V2, and it's definitely getting closer for sure. We're on my side. I definitely want to get out V2 this month, and whatever state it's in, it's pretty close, but still some QA things that we're doing with it. But we definitely, the GBM will be a big part of that for sure.
Oh, I wanted to say also, shout out to T-Bird. We had during District 420 yesterday. He actually the person that he gotcha pilled through the ghost ship, his sail ship, the catamaran that he rents out. This guy is now a owner of Aavegotchi. He owns 12 Aavegotchis. Like he kind of fell right down the rabbit hole after learning about Aavegotchi through T-Bird because he was offering a 50% discount on his service if you were either paid with Bitcoin, Ethereum, or were a Gotcha Gang. So this guy was a Bitcoin Ethereum guy, and it got him thinking about Ghost and Gotchis, like, what is this? And figured it was a crypto, or digital asset, and he kind of fell down the hole, and now is, 12 Gotchis in.
Wow, that's awesome. That was from sorry, I was responding to a tweet here. That was from the ghost ship?
Yeah,
like
from
a
the
trip
ghost
on
ship.
there? That's awesome. Did he make a sig prop for funding the ship, or did he make like a proposal to DTF?
I know he was talking with GMI. We were doing preliminary talks about like putting stuff together, but I don't know if anything ever moved forward.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to put something through to the DTF. I just don't think it was getting support. But maybe now people have seen the value of what he's doing there, and you should try and get another proposal together. And
Yeah, I mean, if he can show real life conversions, like you said, this guy was on my ship, and because of this ship, he's now a hardcore community member. Like that could be pretty interesting.
people see the value in the GM bus, right? That's the analogy we use a lot, and they go
true.
everywhere.
Bankless DAO is funding the GM bus, and so is the Green Pilled podcast, Kevin Owaki. So yeah.
First I've heard of this.
intangible
Where is this GM bus?
It's just
Never seen it on Twitter.
like a Sprinter type van that's traveling across the country that has a bunch of crypto stickers all over it, Bankless DAO and Gitcoin and other things. And they basically just go to events, like not just crypto events. They're going to like Art Basel and other things like that to, just talk about crypto and educate people on a basic level. Really, they just want to drive a bus across the country talking about crypto.
I mean, it's kind of cool. It's bringing awareness at least, and I get what they're doing. It makes sense to, a normie might interact with the bus a lot better than some guy explaining some overly complicated concept. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it's a great conversation starter.
Yeah, I mean, I have Aavegotchi stickers on my bike. People notice that, so it's like it's kind of the same thing.
Do people ever come up to you and be like, "What are these little ghosts on your bike?"
On the bike, on my laptop more than anything. And now I've been wearing the Aavegotchi hat more because I've been kind of letting my hair go. I've been a little lazy about getting a haircut, as you can see on the stream. So I've been wearing the the Gotchi New York City hat a lot more. So people will ask, "Hey, what is that?" If anything, they tend to get drawn in more by the raffle because they see it and they're like, "What the hell is that?" It's like, "Come over here, let me tell you a tale."
The raffle, the sus butterfly, very mimetic.
Yeah, they are.
Did you guys pop the GMI parcel? Because I'm behind at the smoke shack and I'm ready to pop.
I have not yet. I'm ready.
I'm about
I'll
to.
pop mine. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
The grand finale.
We're
commence.
all GMI, right?
Like 7 of us that are here at GMI.
No, everybody's
Gatsby is
GMI.
not GMI, right?
GMI doesn't exclude. We're all GMI.
All right. We'll let it go this time. Yep. There is. I think there is a bounce kit at GMI, isn't there?
Yep. There you go. Z5 says yes.
Oh, yeah, look at that. That's a nice spillover. Gonna make an announcement this week. Talking to Dr. Wagney, the Forge team has begun working on, or are working on the artwork for the Forge. They have asked GMI to put together a art contest for essence and alloys, and so this is a kind of reaching out to the community to see what we could come up with, as a contribution to the Forge, and just even contributing with some sort of a design that can be iterated on would be even cool. But we want to see what the artists can do, and we'll be getting the details of the art contest out this week. So that should be. I'm really looking forward to seeing what artists can do. There will be a ghost prize for each. So the winner of the best essence design and the best alloy design, there's going to be 500 ghosts awarded to each of those winners.
Cool.
The Forge project overall is actually pretty exciting. From a game design perspective, from a community perspective, it's tying in many elements together.
Yeah, I'll drop a link because we did a Twitter space this Wednesday with Dr. Wagney, and I cut out a piece of video that's like 4 or 6 minutes long, and it's like the most concise like TLDR about the Forge that you can get. You should listen to the whole Twitter space, but this one specific piece, it's like perfect if you're just trying to figure it out and wrap your head around it.
They also released the light paper last week, so I'll drop that as well. You can check that out.
Oh, is this the official light paper?
Yeah, they dropped it last week at I think the DAO meeting.
Oh yeah, I think I was AFK for that for the first hour. Cool, have a read. It's been a lot of good DAO conversation the last couple weeks. We got the Forge, we got all the channeling, kind of the brainstorm happening with that. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been talking about looking at the mission and vision discussion. We want to really get that going. So I want to commit a decent part of tomorrow to just talking to the DAO about that. I put some things together. Hardcore has helped with a few of the slides, and I think it's going to be a really good discussion.
Nice. Yeah.
Alongside everything else, of course. Yeah.
While we got the convo, I did want to do a little quick brainstorm and see what your guys' thoughts are. There was this post on the DAO, which is open up NFT displays to all Polygon NFTs, and I think that's I don't think it should just be all Polygon NFTs. It should be all NFTs eventually. But the main question is on the rollout. Like it does seem like an interesting BD opportunity, like biz dev opportunity, for us to have a contest between other NFT projects and say, who's going to get whitelisted this week? Is it going to be the apes? Is it going to be? Could be blue chips. It could be other NFT projects that aren't necessarily blue chips, but basically non-gotchi assets. It's basically either we do like some sort of like weekly whitelist that could be really powerful, or we do some form, or we just let anyone in all at the same time and basically say the NFT displays are open for basically anyone that has an OpenSea collection, essentially.
Said there might be a challenge with listing NFTs on OpenSea, though, right? Like NFTs actually minted on OpenSea.
Yeah, we would have to get that sorted. It's basically it would be right now we're using Morales, so we would have to use both probably. But assuming that we could get that handled, the main question for me is like, do we want to have some sort of contest that we invite? Maybe we pick like 5 NFT projects each week, and they have to battle it out on Twitter. Is that even? Would that even? How would that go? Would people actually go for it, or would they just be like, who's this? Why do they care? Why does a Bored Ape care if they should they try to fight for the whitelist for that week? There could be some interesting competition, but it might just be a bunch of extra work that doesn't actually get anything accomplished, or it might be a kind of a cool idea.
I liked how I think it was called Web3, right? The metaverse. I really liked how they did it. How they kind of invited projects out week by week, and they actually extended an olive branch out and said, "Hey, look, come hang out in our metaverse for a week. We'll actually kind of make it look kind of fun and appealing for your crowd just for that time, and then onboard people that way." I know we have some gotchi gang that still play Web3 just from that event.
Yeah, so basically they went out and contacted the project leads, I guess, and invited them to join. It could be cool, yeah. I figured we might be able to generate more engagement on Twitter if we did like a contest, but it's exactly how to run that contest. We have to think through it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think how, like, where the competition aspect would come from, right? Because I think one thing we want to maybe avoid is saying, like, implying that this X community is way better than this community. Like, that's
Well, it would be a Twitter vote, I guess. It'd be some sort of Twitter, probably an activity, which is so easy to bot. At the same time, they are pretty powerful.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
I always thought another interesting way of getting community interest from other communities is doing like art collabs with their community. So you do actually 8-Bit Gamers Guild already kind of did that with Pepe. Like there's some Pepes inside of the gotchi pieces, and they've kind of crossed over the worlds to make it make sense. And so you'll start to see some of the 8-Bit Gamers Guild pieces they've minted actually have like other characters that are not gotchis, but it all kind of makes sense. And so maybe that could be one way to gauge or generate, some interest.
I mean, it'd be cool if like somebody was talking about the GBMs in the chat, like if I can, certain whitelisted NFTs, like say Cool Cats, where I can throw up a GBM, invite a whole, the Cool Cats Discord, those people, like, hey, I'm gonna GBM this Cool Cat, or like a Cool Pet, say, because that's a lot cheaper, and see what kind of, because they've never experienced a GBM, so that would be kind of, like we all know what the beauty of GBM is. So just introducing it in that way while having like a little Alchemica party on a parcel could be a cool way if we take, like a bazaar fee for that GBM to earn additional revenue.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like the bazaar doesn't support a lot of other contracts right now, but the GBM, technically it can support anything. you can just, as long as it's got an ERC address, pretty easy to support actually. So yeah, you could definitely have GBM auctions in the Gotchiverse for different projects.
You know, for a long time, I was kind of maybe even a little opposed to having other projects like being in the Citadel and sharing. Like, you know, I was like, maybe it should all be Gotchi themed. But I've kind of come around, like, through the conversations we've been having, and just looking at how the Citadel is kind of coming together with the art and the fake Gotchis and the community and people we've onboarded so far. I think the Citadel could be like a really cool town square, and like maybe the rest outside of the Gotchiverse is very much like heavily steeped in Aavegotchi lore, and it's like very Aavegotchi. Like maybe you can't even leave the Citadel without an Aavegotchi. But maybe the Citadel could be this very creative social hub, you know, where people can hang out.
Yeah, that's, I mean, if we are in the Web3 space, so we do want to think of ourselves as part of the metaverse, and the metaverse is interoperable. At the same time, we don't want to give our yield away to anyone. They should be part of our ecosystem. But you know, NFT displays don't really having anyone be able to access it or join and check it out doesn't really take away any yield. So it seems like a cool way to have other communities be onboarded.
Yeah, because you can always, you know, like as promotional events, say, host a GBM where you're auctioning off a Gotchi, and you open it to other people who are not necessarily Gotchi gang, but you know, like ideally it's going to go under floor, so it's like somebody's getting onboarded, but for like a good price. But you make it a whole, you know, event.
Yeah, Zico's got a good point, and this is one of the main one of the considerations, which is if you whitelist any project, why would you need a fake Gotchi? Why couldn't you just go on OpenSea and make a fake Gotchi with the same image? Obviously, it's not in the collection, but it would be displayed on your NFT display, so it would look like a fake Gotchi.
I think one cool thing to implement with the fake gotchis, whether it's a community build or, you know, Pixelcraft build, would be a leaderboard for the top collectors. This is something that really drives the animal spirits in people who like to collect cards, and to know who has the whole deck of who owns every single card. You know, it's something that I check frequently with the rare Pepes to see who the top collectors are, and it's kind of like a constant rarity farming leaderboard where you always see like big moves being made, and it's just really cool to watch the who's moving up the leaderboard. And you know,
where do you see that? Is that part of their?
Yeah, so if you go to like Pepe what the fuck, the site pepe.wtf, they actually have a leaderboard for the cards to see who the top collectors are. And I can drop it here actually. And it's pretty cool, man. I think Master Yang is in the top 3 of all the collectors, like out of all of Rare Pepe collectors.
Oh yeah, I see the leaderboard now. Mm-hmm.
And so having something like this where you just have the address and all the cards, and then the floor valuation of the card, you know, has the unique cards, it's just a really cool way to track, you know, these leaderboards.
Yeah, that's pretty. There's plus. How many cards are there total?
For Rare Pepes, there's 1,774, I think. And then
so this guy's got. Oh yeah, so this guy's got like 1,680 of 1,774. So that's why he's the biggest collector.
Yeah, because he has almost every single one. So
yeah,
you would have a counter going, right, out of 25-35, and it would just be constantly tracking out of 25-35 who has the most.
I wonder who has the most at this point. I think I have like 8 or 10. I have to check again.
Yeah, I think I have 4 or 5 right now at this point, but it could be, you know, could get real competitive for sure.
Yeah, I have 10 pieces.
Ooh, biggest gainer, momentum leaderboard and a collector's leaderboard. I really like that. That's a cool idea, Jesse.
Yeah, I think also in terms of the Polygon NFTs, I think it's better to start like through a biz dev like lens and whitelist them one by one. Certain projects that we know that are popular, that are we can bring in and we know are just not scams, so that you can protect the fake gotchi art itself without just having people post anything
Mhm.
on Polygon and bring it in. Would you be able to open to ETH projects as well? Because I'm sure some of the ETH projects can deploy like
Yeah, yeah.
placeholder tokens or something.
Yeah, I mean, our as long as they have like a contract, for us it's super easy to whitelist any NFT. We just need the contract, and we fetch it from Morales. So it is tough for the OpenSea ones because those don't have their own contract address. They're all part of the same massive OpenSea directory. So if it's great if they have their own contract address that they minted their own NFT. Super convenient for us. But I do like that idea. White Ranger, he said maybe a card is required. I think by a card he means like actually minting a fake gotchi. So like if the Bored Apes wanted to get their stuff displayed, someone would need to make a Bored Ape fake gotchi piece of art and burn it.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of saying before with crossing the communities over. That could be a really good way through art. Having the art able to be purchased and also showing, like the story of these two communities. It tells a story, like art tells a story, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like we did with the whole reason like fakes got started was because of the Pepagotchi.
That's really cool. That was a really inspirational kind of piece, and it's kind of cool that we've cemented ourselves in fake rares. Like we're the only gaming project in the whole fake rare collection. So
Coder Dan, how do you feel about using like with the NFT displays as a way to onboard other Polygon games?
Well, that's what we're saying here. Like if Luchadores wanted to get their NFTs displayed, they would make a Luchadores Aavegotchi fake gotchi, I think is what they're saying. So, like, is that what you mean? Or you mean the actual gaming assets being like characters in the gotchi verse?
Well, I mean, yeah, like gaming assets, maybe not being like full gotchis, but gaming, they can come in and play in the gotchiverse on some level, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of our longer term goals is to be able to allow those projects to drop their tokens in the gotchi verse. And like maybe gotchis and those, but for example, like if Luchadores I think they have a token, right? They would have their Luchadores playable, and they could drop their token in the game, and Aavegotchis and Luchadores could pick those tokens up. That'd be pretty interesting, I think. But it would only be for that token. Like they couldn't pick up Alchemica. Only gotchis can pick up Alchemica.
Well, you're also building out, like we talked about the GBM infrastructure here. So theoretically, Pixelcraft could host like a wide scale event for like a new like drop for a new game or a new PFP or something on Polygon, right? Like, say if I made a new project, I'm like, hey, can I do a drop? We'll use your observers. These people are going to be Polygon native anyway. That could be a use case, right?
Yeah, we're gonna bring back the play drop. That's a big use case. We just need to sort out the bots a little bit better, but that's definitely a big use case for the Gotchiverse. We can have entire like party areas that are kind of like we have the infra to support it. So you could theoretically have your own section of the Gotchiverse that is for your party. You're kind of renting out the space, and we can provide the tech to support the token dropping or however you want to do it. So yeah, I think it'd be super cool to be able to have like a play drop for a new token airdrop.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean this infra that we have is super powerful, and it's taken quite a long time to get it developed, and we're still developing like some of the cool features like being able to drop tokens on that you want, but a lot of the hard work is done at this point. So really, I think once we get combat, and then next year it's going to just be a lot of BD opportunities to reach out to other communities, see what we can do with other people. Now that we have this space that people can come in and play in, it's like it can be very exciting. We could theoretically have we'd have to figure out how it works, but gotchis versus luchadores happening in real time in the gotchiverse.
Ooh, that would be cool. There's definitely some projects that would vibe really well with Aavegotchis, like even in a battle or arena kind of thing.
Yeah, that would be
we'd
a
have
lot
to
of fun.
we have to work out like how the traits would work. I have no idea how that would work, but there's definitely something to an idea of having like an NFT based, like multi NFT fighter game.
Well, even now with just the pumpkins, right? If you had like gotchi tokens, you can flag all of them, and then luchador tokens, and then you set up a pumpkin with the common goal of everybody attack it. Whoever, actually gets more hits and burst it wins. You could do that right now, actually.
Yeah, we just need to add support for more tokens, and which is on our roadmap.
Last question, I guess, for me. What's up with the any update on the holiday sweater?
Yeah, we should have some good news on that pretty soon. Yeah, I don't have any specific details yet, but should definitely have some news on that in the next couple weeks.
I need that sweater, man. It's getting cold over here.
Definitely. George says, Decentral Games, Ice Poker, looking for more Polygon-based games to partner with. Do some ice. Yeah, maybe there's a way that they could drop some ice in the Gotchiverse to help raise awareness of their game.
Is Gotchi Mafia setting up a storefront in Decentraland? Because they got a whole bunch of casinos, Could have a Gotchi casino in Decentraland. Ooh, I like that, Jesse. Better yet, let's bring them to the Gotchiverse. Yeah, absolutely. So many opportunities, like you say. Like this is a platform, and I think there's gonna be many different verticals like forming from this platform that you guys have made. Starting with the Aavegotchis, but now the Gotchiverse layer on top, and then the user generated content layer now on top of that with the fake gotchis, and then whatever else might be coming down the line, right? Music NFTs or lodge related things. Like it's pretty exciting.
Actually, you made me think about it. I'm in contact with the Nova Creed team, and they're on Polygon as well. So that might be a nice little. They might be able to drop some fuel or ice in the Gotchiverse to their players, like as observers. So, who's the best person on your team to talk to? Because I know Moon is no longer in that capacity.
Like right now, we're not in like mega BD mode yet. We're still in mega dev mode because there's still a lot of these features that we're talking about that need to be added. So it's like we feel like it's a little bit early to start inviting everyone to join when the features aren't really live and there's no specific date on when they're going to be live. But definitely a lot of that stuff is going to be post. We're going to be having a roadmap for the arena coming out fairly soon, and post arena, the arena itself is like it's a big project, but these kind of features are going to be added in between the big features like the arena and the great battle. So yeah, I would say, just keep chatting with them. There's no rush on it. As long as their project is around in 6 months, then 3 to 6 months, we can talk when we're ready.
Okay, yeah, that works.
On the fake gotchi side, well, I'm gonna have a think on that, and could be a cool solution to the whitelisting issue. Because if another community wants to actually invest and make a fake gotchi, that would kind of be their ticket to the gotchiverse. And it's a cool idea.
It's great because you'd also have a market that would want to buy those cards. Like that community, if I was like, for example, in Bored Apes, and there's a cool like fake gotchi NFT with Bored Apes and gotchis themed, I'd buy that, especially if it's like my entry point into the gotchiverse.
Yeah, who do we want to see as our first non-gotchi kind of art whitelisted in the gotchiverse? Who's our ideal first collection? Zen.
I think we should reach out to like the other like OG on-chain projects. Like we have Luchadores, we have Matic Mike. I'm sure there's like a few other ones out there too that are just like these really cool. I really like Matic Mike. I like that project. But there are probably some other like really cool on-chain NFT projects that have similar vibes that could come in. There's also DeFi Kingdoms who have like they have a very RPG oriented community that'd be interested. So Sandbox, yeah.
I never heard of Matic Mike.
You don't know Matic Mike? Okay.
No.
Okay,
I know Magic Mike, but not Matic Mike. That's really
very similar. Does anybody have Matic Mikes to drop in the chat?
International Six Symbol. It's pretty funny.
It's actually a pretty great project.
It looks very similar to Lucha. Yeah, so there's some artists out there. Obviously, Hackatow art blocks. That'd be really cool. Bored Apes, Magic Mike, all in the same class, I'm sure.
Reading their
there might be some apes that are. If I were an ape right now, I'd be looking at all the other metaverses that are actually developing and being a little worried. Be like, what's going on with the other side? I might be open, but I don't know.
Other side, what's going on with them? Was there a price?
I don't know.
Or, oh,
I mean, I haven't seen a lot of updates on it yet recently. Is there something happened with it recently?
apparently, last I heard, there was a lot of frustration around a lack of transparency around what like people were getting items on their land and they had no idea what they do. There's still no clarity, like many months later, like what these items actually do on people's land. So people are just kind of stuck holding these things. It kind of reminds me of a Axie Infinity situation all over again, where the investors buy on the hype and then they're kind of just left there hanging onto the parcel or the image of the parcel for years and years till it's actually done.
Ted Pollard says it's actually really good. Yeah, so one mission. I mean, they did their first trip like 3 months ago, and yeah, it did look sick. Obviously, the improbable IO tech is really good, but what's happened since then? Yeah, the improbable IO guys, they've been building that system for like 10 years. They're a huge, super like well-funded VC company building out this like this tech that can support apparently up to 10,000 players at the same time, which is honestly, it's pretty similar to where we are. We spent 1 year and no VC funding, and we do have some lag issues still, but those are getting fixed soon as well.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it felt like another. When I looked at the demo from Improbable a while back, it was pretty much what the other side looked like. I mean, one of the things I liked was you jump down like the portal. That was a cool experience. It was like going through the portal was pretty neat. To actually have that animation was pretty sick. I gotta admit that.
Yeah, I think Cool Cats is also like going to be doing something with Improbable, like with Annie Mocha. I think it's going to be an other side. I don't know if 100% all that stuff, but their holders are pissed off too because they laid off a whole bunch of people recently after getting a new CEO and just haven't been very transparent.
Isaiah, I think we have a big opportunity here. We're gonna keep shipping this, and eventually other projects are gonna be like, why can't I want to be in the Gotchi verse? I wanna play my NFT. There's us, and then there's Web3. Web3 is doing a decent job, I think. I jumped in it the other day. Someone I was playing around in their Halloween experience that they did. Didn't really get what to do. It felt very busy to me. I was immediately like, I didn't really know. There was like this quest where I literally couldn't get out of my bedroom. I don't know if you guys tried it, but you when you spawn in Web3, you drop into a bedroom and it felt like Pokemon. But I just couldn't get out of my bedroom. It's like I don't know how to get out of this room. And so I was very frustrated, but I was able to get back to the main like train station area. Yeah. Zico left the bedroom and then quit. I couldn't even figure out how to get out of the bedroom. Honestly, I think it was something related to like putting on VR goggles or something maybe, but nothing was clickable. It just didn't make any sense. It was a very weird experience. And then you get into the main train area, which was the train area. Like there was like a little quest where you went in. They brought you into the Halloween area, which was pretty cool. But again, it's like I didn't really feel like there was much to do. Like it was basically just walking around talking to people, which is cool. It's what you do in a metaverse. But I think I'm spoiled by the Gotchiverse, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's
last week
comfy.
on Saturday, like we were talking about last night, when we were on the Meta Guild parcel, and their scholars, I believe it was their scholars, in coordination, were all spamming like their Twitch, the link to the Twitch that their stream was on, and I was like, holy crap, we're seeing like a coordinated effort from a guild inside of the Gotchiverse via the chat. I was like, all right, this is going well. This is cool.
Just wait till you can have people streaming the battling in the arena, and the streamers, they don't even have to fight. You could stream yourself just tipping Alchemica into the battle. Like I think that would be a satisfying experience as a streamer, I think. Like what chaos can I cause in this battle today? I'm gonna drop, here's 10,000 FUD, guys, and then the people watching the streamer are also entertained, so they're tipping the streamer, and the streamer's using those tips to then tip into the battle.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
While also doing commentary. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that was what was funny about the Pumpkins on Halloween too, because No Futuristic and I were watching each other's streams so that we could coordinate everybody else based on where we were.
Yeah, the streams will be. What I really liked about the Pumpkins is that I mentioned this, I think, in the chat before. It's actually really hard for the bots to find them because, like, when you join as a bot, there's no API for you to read. You literally have to find the pumpkin. If you're not in the right area, then you literally don't see it. There's right now in the Citadel, there's 10,000 different zones. So if you need like 10,000 observers to be able to maybe find a pumpkin. So good luck doing that without getting flagged by the botting. So I think that could definitely be a fun thing. We'll continue to experiment with that.
Yeah, especially with
Really
the tips that we were getting from the Ancon, like that could be lore based and make it like kind of like fun and gamey.
How long did it take you guys to kill those pumpkins? It seemed like they were, once you found it, it was like what, a couple minutes, but it took a long time to find them.
It wouldn't be a couple minutes though, because we would have to. There were like a good 20 of us, maybe 30, chasing the pumpkin, and usually it'd be initially somebody would find it and would just be hitting it, and like we'll all kind of get the coordinates and then slowly get over there, and then just chase it around for a bit. But it would take like 15, 20 minutes per pumpkin. But finding it could take, without the tips from the team, we were taking forever. The Gotchiverse is huge, so it was like we tried to do like quadrants and district by district, but with 20 players, it just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually streaming on the last pumpkin and we got rugged. So we found it with 11 minutes to go and we were beating it up, but we were nowhere near killing it and it just disappeared. It's the last couple of minutes on my stream because I was there till the very end. Yep. It was a great night. We had a good time.
Yeah, and it was Halloween night, Eastern Standard Time, Halloween night. And It's like, oh, okay, man, I got to take care of these pumpkins. I'm sorry, I can't come out to the bar right now. Like, no one
right?
But...
I was literally about to walk out, and then I saw the tweet of the video, and I'm like, wait a second, hold up, I got to get on a stream. And basically half in costume, I jumped on the stream to fight pumpkins all night.
Yeah, Flame says giant pumpkins remain. We have RuneScape, but the Revenants fight back. Yeah, I think in a future version, these things are going to fight back for sure. They're not going to be that easy to push around, literally.
Well, I was saying I would love for because this could be an Alchemica sync where you have your Gotchi can chase these things around and fight, but after a certain amount of time, kind of like a cool cat, it gets tired. It has to go to sleep for for a cooldown period. But you could pay some Alchemica you could use glitter because it is time. But in this case, it'd be cool for Alchemica, where you have to spend some Alchemica to wake up your Gotchi or to revive it, and then it can go back to fighting.
Yannick said something like a couple weeks ago at a DAO meeting. He said, Gotchis and glitter are kings in this game, and I tend to believe him. I think glitter could be used to speed up a lot of the time-based things, that people don't want to wait for. So whether it's making something or speeding up a cooldown or channeling, or I feel like there could be so many time-based syncs for glitter in the future where if you don't have glitter, it's gonna suck. You have to stake for something, stake for that glitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, time travel, exactly. Jesse asked an interesting question earlier. He was asking if we were to do another pumpkin style event, what kind of NPCs would people want to see? And when would you want that kind of event? Ducks. Okay. Are we shooting the ducks or
Turkey is fun, except our community isn't just Halloween is kind of a global event at this point, whereas Thanksgiving is predominantly American, but a lot of our community is American, so also kind of makes sense. But one thing I'm actually interested in is we have these world holidays, but we also have crypto holidays. There's things like the Bitcoin pizza, which that'd be a super fun event that we could do in the Gotchiverse.
That's a great idea. Giant Pepes.
Yeah, what are some crypto holidays that people there's Bitcoin Pizza Day, I don't know, Bitcoin white paper publishing.
Well, now
Ethereum,
there's merge.
The merge day, yeah. Any Green Day is a holiday. True.
EIP 1559. I mean, a burn holiday.
Yeah, it's gotta be I like the pizza because it's so memeable. We could just literally have big pizzas that you gotta eat by killing them.
It's like a Hungry Hippo kind of game.
We could have big Satoshis running around somehow.
Oh no, they're Craig Wrights, and we have to knock them down because they're frauds.
Oh, you don't want to get sued now.
Can we chase and blow some X copy art? Maybe. Yeah, today. Oh my God, it is the 5th of November, isn't it? Nice.
That
you know,
year
you
just
know.
flew by. Last time I looked at the calendar, it was the launch of the Gotchi Burst. Now I'm just like, I've aged in that time, you know.
Yeah. Some of our gotchis. Our gotchis have grown wiser.
It's gonna be so cool. Like a couple years from now, looking at my gotchis when they have like 3,000 kinship, two or 3,000 kinship.
Yeah. Well, I guess if this channeling thing, I think Yannick said he's going to make a proposal to burn kinship, like we originally were kind of planning to do, but decided not to. That could be very interesting, honestly.
If we were to implement a kinship burn, would we also become more open to introducing other ways to earn kinship, even if it's a fractional
yeah.
kinship?
I really think we need to, at some point, have potions in like that are earnable in the Gotchiverse. Like you should ideally earn kinship by playing your Gotchi, and like, you know, maybe if you beat a pumpkin, maybe it drops some alchemica, but it also maybe drops some XP potions or kinship potions. That would be super cool, I think. We're just gonna have to accept that the current market value of a kinship potion is like ridiculously high. It's sky high because there's just so few of them. So when we start putting out more of those, obviously the market couldn't really sustain those.
Actually, this is a forum thread I started like a year and a half ago when it was just petting, and I was like, can we get something else that would give us fractional kinship? I think I was talking about the mini games though, like the number of times you played the mini games or like your placement on the board as a way to like move up the kinship. But that's like because I was trying to nerf everybody else at that point.
It's interesting what Dr. Wagme's kind of saying is the gotchis are minting the kinship through activities, but then instead of burning it on that end, it actually goes to a wallet or it goes to some place where the points are kept track, and then those could be used to fund, for example, you could create probably kinship potions out of that or experience or, yeah, it's really interesting. They're not minting new kin, yeah.
Cool. Right. So basically, we would instead of minting new kin or new, or we'll just talk about kin, I guess. So there'd be basically a player reward allocation that could then be redistributed via kinship potion drops in the games. Is what he's saying.
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think about to also add to some of this like channeling like cell pressure, like a staking mechanic for Aavegotchis? Like you stake it and you're in glitter. It could be a small amount, but if you don't want your kinship to drop, you want to continue to have your Gotchi pet, but you no longer can channel, you earn glitter from that.
I think people just need to make the decision. Do they want to spend their kinship now, or do they want to spend it later? I don't think we need any more staking contracts at this point. I think that part of the ecosystem is pretty set at this point. Like, I don't think we need Gotchi staking contracts. There's plenty of ways for Gotchis to earn yield at this point.
Well, I'm thinking more so to like lower the number of Gotchis actually channeling, like take them out of supply essentially.
Yeah, so that's kind of where the next season like of rarity farming people would factor rarity farming into their equation. They would say, okay, is it worth it for me to channel and use my kinship now, or should I continue saving it for rarity farming? So there'd be a lot of fewer Gotchis channeling because they want to save up for rarity farming.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like Quincy says, I do not want to spend my rarity farming rewards.
Well, friends, I'm gonna get off here. Everyone have a lovely Saturday, and see you guys tomorrow for the Dow meeting, where I'm sure there'll be lots of good stuff to discuss.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't believe it's 9:04 already. That flew by. Wow. Dang.
All right, friends.
Sweet. All right, friends.
See y'all tomorrow.
Peace.
Yeah, and I see Dr. Wagme mentioning the Pawn collab. Definitely go check out. I got an episode that I did with Pawn. We do a deep dive into everything that they're doing right now. So I'll plug I'll plug the episode right here. If y'all want to catch up on Pawn and what they're doing there, I do an interview with them, and it was really good. We got into a lot of the aspects of peer-to-peer asset lending with your assets and using gotchis as collateral. So really interesting stuff. And yeah, stay tuned for the DAO meeting tomorrow, 2 p.m. UTC. We'll be talking about we'll be focusing on the mission and vision statement. I think we need to get something concrete around that. So we do have a discussion plan for that, as well as going over some questions we might want to put together for our survey. Of course, the Forge team is welcome to give their update as well, and we can also touch on the channeling discussion amongst just the proposal review and all the other regular things we do. So take care, friends. If we don't see you this weekend, hope you all have a good weekend, and peace out.
Peace.
Peace out, friends.